Hello, welcome to Design with Cracker. Today I want to share with us some tips and tricks on how to use some of the recent oxygen composite elements and a couple of other things to have in mind when working with oxygen. The first thing I'm going to talk about is working with columns. So let's say by the way, I'm using Swiss knife for my theme interface, the oxygen interface is a Swiss knife, and I'm also using the hydrogen pack that enables right click, copy and paste and all that. So you will be seeing me use those features in the course of this tutorial. The first thing we're going to do is we'll talk about columns, but let me add a section first, and then I'm going to add a column. I'm going to hit C to add a column. That is a feature from the hydrogen pack. Let's say we're using maybe 4 columns, and then you add an image. There I just hit I to add an image. Okay, so and now you see that this has a padding around. So if you go into this div, you probably would not notice any padding, and then but if you hit 0, of course the padding will disappear. Now one thing you could do is if you had a couple of columns, all right, let me just quickly undo that, and you don't want to go into them to do that one after the other, or you want to be able to control. Let's say, let me copy this and paste here and paste here. That's the feature of the hydrogen pack. Okay, so and then you want to control all of them at the same time. You could just add a class, let's say column, and notice if you go in here to add 0 to that class, even though it is on the div, you are not going to get any change. And but if you do that on the ID, you're going to have, there's going to be a change. Okay, but you want to be able to apply the class to all of this. Okay, so what you're going to do is you go to settings, global styles, the default padding. So you're going to just delete it, take it out completely. And then if you come to the column, you'll be able to apply the column class. Now the column class, you'll be able to apply the style. So if you you can now copy those styles. See, so if you apply that style to this, okay, so now if you change this, say, to 32, apply all, so you see that you can now control the padding of your columns much better. So I'm using hydrogen pack. So if I select this div, I should be able to copy the style and just paste it on this div by just hitting Ctrl V, and that's copy and paste styles feature of the hydrogen pack. Anyway, so that is one tip to work with columns, to make it easy for you to control the spacing in columns. It's usually one of the most talked about aspects when it comes to controlling spacing. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the horizontal divider. So I'm going to go back to the section, okay, and let me add the horizontal. That's the new composite element for Oxygen 3.7. Now, this is a very nice feature. So it helps if you want to say divide, one section from the other. There are a lot of applications you could use this. The first thing I want to show is if you want to make this line smaller. Okay, so what you do is you go to the line, CSS for the line, and you're going to see that it has a flex grow of 1. So you select any of them, has this, all of the both line have the same class. So you go to the CSS of advanced CSS, okay, yeah, and then you can change this to, this is 1, flex grow, set to 1, and you can see that we are on that class, and you have the class here. So if you set it to, say, 0.5, you may not really notice any difference. It doesn't look like much have changed, but if I reduce it further to, say, 0.1, now you can see that the lines are shorter. So that's one of the ways you can shorten the line. Another thing is, what if you want to make the line double, or you increase the width of the line? So you can select one of these lines, make sure that you are on the class. Okay, that is the class, and then you go to size and spacing, and you can change the height to say 5, and that changes the width. Let's say you want to have a double line. How do you do it? Now, if you try to duplicate this, it won't work. You're gonna have difficulties, making it double. The easiest way to make it double is to stay on that class and go to the before of the class. Okay, and then first of all, set a background color. You will not see anything yet. The next thing you're going to do is to set the width to 100% and the height to 100%. And then you go to advanced layout, set the display to block. So now the display is blocked. You go to size and spacing and set the margin top to separate it. So 8, or you can use 12 depending on how much you want it to separate. So you can have the double line. Now, of course, you can give it the same. You can give the before, on that line before, you can give it the same color, as the original line. And now what you have is that this is not aligned. Okay, so what you do is you go to the horizontal divider div and go to the ID and set the vertical alignment to top. So that is going to align the lines with the icon. And what if you wanted to replace the icon with, say, maybe a title? So you could just pop in a title. I'm just going to hit T to bring in a text, and of course probably make the font weight very heavy, and I could just say about us. Okay, and then I can delete this. So with that text selected, I can give it a margin of, say, 8 here and 8 here. Let's just go all the way to 16. So there now you can. So now this poses a problem. So what you're gonna do is, if you go to that line, so as you can see, the text is not properly aligned the way the icon was. So we could go to typography and set the line height to 0 or 1. All right, so set it to 1, and then it aligns properly. And so of course, if you go to the before element and delete it, you can always set this back to center. So that is basically how it works. Okay, that's it for the horizontal divider. The next element we're going to look at is the hover scroll image. Now this is a very nice feature, for you to be able to display your portfolio on your website. So very nice feature, and if you hover on it, it's going to scroll this long image, or from the top to the bottom, and then when it is inactive, okay, normal state, is going to take it back to the normal position. Okay, so now the first thing is, how do you change this picture? Not if you expand this, you're not going to see any image here. Okay, so now if you go to background image, of course there's nothing here, but what you need to do is, while you are on this hover scrolling image div, you have to switch to the ID, and then you're going to have the option to change your image. Let's say you have a website. Let's say maybe I have a website like this, okay, and I want to do a screenshot of this website. There's a very nice a Chrome extension that is called Go Full Page. So if you go to Go Full Page Chrome extension, you can add this to to Chrome, okay, and once you do, it's going to appear, of course, here. So all you need to do is just to hit it, and then it's going to do the work of course, that's what it does. And then I'm going to just right click and save image as, I've already saved it as this, and then I'm going to go back to Oxygen and just browse, and change that image to my own image. So the image has changed. Now what if you want to control the scrolling speed? So you switch back to the class, and then go to Effect, Transition. Now you see the speed is set to transition of 5. If I change it to, say, 1, of course you can see how fast it is. Okay, so if I take it back maybe to 2, and then it gets just a little bit slower. So that is how to change the image. Now what if you want to change the icon? You go to the icon here, okay, and then just change the icon to whatever you want to change it to. Okay, so you can see that icon now, just scrolls and disappear. And another thing is you can always change the transition of that icon. Okay, so if you go to the hover scrolling image code and go to CSS, you're going to see of course the transition, the animation for that icon. So it changes the opacity to 0 and translates Y. So if you want it to just translate 50, of course it disappears in the middle. Okay, and if you want the opacity to remain, of course you can just leave it there. So that is where you change the property for the animation of the icon. So that is it. Okay, let's move to the next element. So the next thing we're going to look at is the mega menu. So let's check the mega menu. All right, so okay, I'm just gonna, all right, so we have the mega. I'm gonna save this, and then I'm going to just open it at the front end. Now perhaps I should just delete these other ones for them to get out of the way. Okay, all right, so we have the mega menu. Okay, so now of course all these are made up of Oxygen's native elements. So you can, apart from you have the code block, and then you have the mega menu wrapper, which has a column, 3 columns, and an icon and different stuff all inside. You can just figure that out. But what I want to look at is how it behaves. So now when you hover, you see it animates from the bottom up, and that is the default animation of the Oxygen mega menu. But the question is, can you change that? So let's see. The first thing is when you are on the mega menu and you go into the custom CSS, you will not see anything. Now if you expand it, go to the code block, the CSS, and you're going to see that this is set to the Oxygen mega menu wrapper hidden is set to opacity 1, and pointer event initial and the transform translate Y is set to 0 pixel, and that is why it's it defaults to this. So that means the original position is not this. This is not the original position, so we have to find it now, and that is the mega menu wrapper hidden. So this is the mega menu wrapper, and this has this class and this class. So we're looking for the hidden class. So if you go to effect transform, you can see that it's being set to translate Y. Now if I take that out and then save and refresh this, you can see that it's just going to appear. Okay, and then what if you want it to still have some form of animation apart from the opacity? Of course, we can always add another I can add this scale. Okay, 1.1 1.1, the same. Okay, and then I'll go back to the mega menu code and then set this transform to scale. So instead of doing translate Y, I'm going to say scale 3D. Okay, and I'm going to just say 1 1. So I want to take it from 1.1, okay, for all the axes to 1. So I'm just going to save that, and when we go back to the mega menu, refresh, you can see we have a different kind of animation here. So that is one way to change the behavior of the mega menu. Okay, so I believe we can add more than one more than one effect here. Now if this is just too much, okay, we could go back to the wrapper, make sure we are on hidden, okay, the wrapper hidden, and then just reduce that to maybe 1.05, okay, and that should make it a bit more subtle. So if I refresh, and then so you see it's just a little bit more subtle. So that is it. Now the next thing we're going to look at is icon lists. Okay, icon list composite element, it's really cool. I like it a lot, and everything here is based on classes. That means you can change the color of the icon, and all of them is going to change. You can change a particular row, okay, and yep, that is a row. You can change the background of a particular row, okay, and all of them are going to change. All right, so but what I want to show is this. What if in a situation where you have, you know, something, let's wrap this in a div. So I'm just going to hit W to wrap it in a div. That's a feature of the hydrogen pack. So I have that wrapped in a div. I'm going to set that div to 50% width, and of course this is going to be 100% inside the div, okay. And then so you see when you have more text, okay, you see this begins to get, you know, this is bigger than the others, and sometimes it doesn't really look nice for you to have one bigger and then you have another one a different size. So what you can do is to select it, and of course since it's using a class, you go to size and spacing and set a minimum height of, let's say, maybe 100 pixel, and then you can see all of them, you know, adapt to. So you try to get, you know, the height of the largest, okay, or something close, and then so it gives you that nice, you know, well spaced out look. What if you had two of this? So let's say I want to add another one, okay, and then I go add icon list. Now because I've already set this, you know, it's gonna affect every other icon list. So now what I'm gonna do is, let me just duplicate this div, okay, and I want to stack them side by side. So I'm going to wrap this in a div and just cut this and just paste it here, and of course I want to stack it horizontally. All right, so so I have this width to be 40% and this to be 40%, okay. So I'm just trying to all right, so we have this and we have this. So this is another icon list, and we don't want it to look like, so just imagine that we have this, and then we don't want it to be that big. So if we try to change it back to, let's say, remove it, it's going to affect this one, okay. So now what you can do is you can add let's say I'm going to copy that class because I want to make a new class, okay, row 2, okay. So I just add 2 to that, and let's just use underscore. All right, so I've created a new class for that, and for that new class I'm going to set that. Now I'm not going to set anything. I'll go to the original class, okay, and I'm going to remove this from the original class, okay. And of course this has the second class, so I'm going to remove it. I want to add that second class we created to this, so we can use that second class to add the minimum height, okay. Nothing has happened, of course nothing has happened, because the height, the class is only applied to this row. So what I'm going to do is, now I would go into each of them and apply that class, you know, to it. All right, okay. But then because I'm using hydrogen pack, I'm going to just copy style. I'm going to paste the white face on the white, okay, just style, and then I'm going to do the same here, copy style, and then paste, paste, paste. So if I go in, you know, to change that size and spacing, so you can see this changes but this does not change, okay. So that is, you know, the same thing with the icon. So if I change the icon color here, it's going to change everywhere. So I can just go to that icon, you know, copy that and then paste and add maybe 2, okay, and then change just that one, okay. Of course everything wants to change, the icon size and all that. So I can just copy style, come to this icon and paste. Of course if you're not using the hydrogen pack, you can always do it manually by just selecting, sorry, that's the wrong one, by just selecting the icon. Okay, what am I doing? The icon list, that is what it's called. Okay, so you can just do that. But because I'm using the hydrogen pack, I'm just gonna paste the styles. So you can see you can configure each of these, and especially if you want to make this background color, say for the div black, but you don't want this to have a background color, so you can always go there, and then, sorry, what am I doing? Okay, and set the background color to, okay, transparent. And then of course this text, the same thing you're gonna add to, so you're adding this for custom, so that so I'm just gonna paste that style here, here, here. All right, so okay, how did that happen? Yeah, I must have done something wrong, so I'm pasting the style here, here, and here. So you see, so you can style different icon lists on the website, on your website, and have them behave differently by just adding a different class to the element. Okay, so that is it. So for here, if I want to add maybe a bottom border, so I could just go add a solid bottom, a nice solid bottom border with a 1 pixel, dashed. All right, so that is all for today. I hope that you learned something from these tips and tricks for the Oxygen Builders new composite elements. See you some other time. Subscribe if you like this, like and comment. If you have any question, ask, and I'll be sure to answer in my next video. Have a great day.